When you're in a sales appointment and you hear an objection, like you're the first one we've seen, or that's more than we wanted to spend, or we got a lower price elsewhere, how do you handle that? Well, I'm going to help you on this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. I'm your host, Alan Berg, speaker, author, sales trainer, website reviewer, here to help you in your wedding and event business sell more, profit more, and have more fun doing it. Enjoy this episode. Hi, it's Alan Berg, and welcome to the Wedding Business Solutions Podcast. Today, I want to talk about 3 common sales objections. And these are things that you hear very often after you've been working with someone. You get to a certain point, and then it feels like the record scratch. Now everything stops. But an objection is actually an opportunity to continue the conversation. It's more like a speed bump. It's not a roadblock, it's a speed bump. The first one is the price objection. People love what you do, and they say it's more than they wanted to spend. Well, the thing with budgets, I heard an author, Phil M. Jones, talk about this on an audiobook, and he said, all budgets are made up. I said, yeah, they are. All budgets are made up by someone. Did they use data to come to those numbers, or did they just pull them out of thin air? The thing with the wedding is a lot of couples are pulling it out of thin air because they don't know where else to start. They've never bought anything like what you sell before, so they don't know where to go. So they look at a survey. And the problem with the surveys is the surveys are averages. And are they looking for an average wedding, or are they looking for an above average wedding? So they come up with a number, and then they start to shop for what they do. And the reality is, according to the Knot, 30 to 40% over their budget is what they typically spend. That's right. They're going over their budget by 30 to 40%. They just don't know it yet, but they will. And as they say down south, bless their hearts. So they're going to end up spending more money. They just don't know it yet. If they want the results that you're going to provide, they have to pay your price to get them. You've probably heard me say this before. You'll continue to hear me say this. It's not about your services and products. It's about the results of them. You might have heard me tell the story about how nobody ever buys a drill bit because they need a drill bit. They buy a drill bit because they need to make a hole. They need to make a hole because they need to put something in that hole or on that hole. So I've often spoken about the cork board that I have in my office over here. It's got family photos on it. Well, I needed a drill and a drill bit to make a hole, to put a hanger, to put the cork board, to put the photos, so that I can look over there right now and see pictures of my family, people that aren't around anymore, like my mom who passed a couple of years ago, my dad who's 90 years old. I get to see people from 4 years old and babies all the way up to 90 years old because I took a drill and a drill bit and made a hole. So if they want your results, they have to choose you and they have to pay your price. So if someone says, well, that's more than we wanted to spend, and I've spoken about this in my books, Shut Up and Sell More. I've spoken about different objections. The best way to handle an objection is to agree with them on the premise. So if somebody says that's more than we wanted to spend, you say, you know what? I hear that a lot. I hear that from a lot of couples because you come up with a budget and you're hoping to have a number, but then you also come up with the results you want, and that often doesn't match. I can't go to the Hyundai dealer and say, hey, I want you to give me Mercedes. Well, they don't have that. And I can't go to Mercedes and say, I want you to charge me Hyundai prices. They don't have that. And if you go to Hyundai and you want Mercedes stuff, you're going to have to go to Genesis and you're going to end up spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for something that looks more like a Mercedes. It still doesn't have the Mercedes logo on it. You want a Mercedes logo, you have to pay Mercedes. So if somebody says that's more than we wanted to spend, agree with the premise. Empathize, not sympathize. Empathize is, I understand how you feel. Sympathize is, wow, that stinks. You don't have the money for it, huh? So empathy was we totally understand how you feel. Lots of couples have come to us and their budgets just didn't match up initially. And what they realized is, sure, we can spend less money, but we're not going to give our guests the experience that we want them to have. And if it's just this much more to get that experience, we'd rather invest in that because this is the one and only, right? This is, for most couples, it's their first and hopefully their last wedding. For people, it's not their first. They're hoping it to be their last wedding. And that's why they're investing so much. So I understand that it's more than you guys were budgeting for. You can definitely spend less money, possibly with us for a lower package or with someone else. But if these are the results you want, this is what it costs to get that. And your guests are going to thank you for having invested. Should we reserve your wedding now? Always ask for the sale when you handle the objection. The second one is similar to that is, I got a lower price somewhere else. Well, the first thing is if they tell you that they got a lower price somewhere else, but they haven't booked the other company, what they're really saying is, I want you. I want you, but I'm confused because I see a lower price. And because they don't understand the difference, they're saying, I like you better, but why did they charge less? Or why do you charge more? Same, right? Two sides of the same coin over there. The good news is they're telling you they want you and not the other company. That's what they're doing. And some of them are just trying to see if you'll lower your price. And I've had people who used to do that. They got asked about lower price and they lowered their prices. Every dollar you lower your price without taking something back of value from them is profit you gave away. So please stop giving away your profit like that. So the way you say, if they tell you I got a lower price elsewhere, not I've booked elsewhere, but I got a lower price from someone else, you say to them, thanks so much for letting me know. You keep looking around, you're going to find more prices, some lower than us, some higher than us, some about the same as us. What it comes down to is, do you want the other company's price, or do you want the results that you know we can provide for you? Would you like me to get your wedding reserved now? That's what you want to say to them. You want to get them to understand that. Now, if you want to be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more confident, some people would say cocky, you could say, listen, you look around, you're going to find prices lower than us and higher than us. And they're in a company that charges lower than us. If they could provide you with the results that we can, then they'd surely charge as much as we do, maybe more. But they're probably just not there yet. So if you want their price, you go ahead with them, but you're going to get their results. If you want our results, please sign with us, and we can give you those. We do that at our price. Should we get your wedding reserved now? I remember a photographer one time, it was at a conference back in the days when we did Wedding Wire World, and they said to me, they were $5,000 for a wedding, someone else was $2,000. And person came to them and said, we got this other photographer, they're only charging $2,000. And she said, they're probably a pretty good $2,000 photographer. And when they can provide you the kind of results that we can, they're going to charge $5,000 also. They're probably just not there yet. Now, some of you are thinking, that's pretty good, but I don't think I could say that. And that might be true, so that's okay. If you can't say that, that's okay. All right, let's talk with the third one. I told you I'm going to give you 3 today. The third one is, you're the first one we've seen. Well, that's also very common, and I think it's also an advantage. That is not an objection. That is a statement. It's just a statement of fact. You're the first person we've seen. You're the first venue that we visited. You're the first photographer or videographer or invitation company or officiant that we've spoken to. Right? That's okay. It doesn't mean they won't book you. And if you're not asking for the sale because you're the first one that they've seen, that's your fault, not theirs. If they like what they see and if they want your results, there's no reason they shouldn't book you today. Some people give incentives for that. I remember a dress shop client where if you booked, they told you when you came, actually when you made the appointment, if you buy your dress when you come in for your appointment on that day, you can take 10% off of that ticket price. If you don't and you come back, it's going to be the price on the ticket. If you needed to come for a third appointment, you're going to pay for that appointment, and it does not get applied to your dress because it's just taking consultants' time now. But they would tell you that right up front. But let's just say in general, you're having a great meeting with people and you ask for the sale and they say, well, we love what you do, or we love your venue, we love your food, whatever, but you're the first one we've seen. And this is where you say to them, thanks so much for making us first. I'm sure you started with a very large list, cut that down to smaller and smaller list, and then you said, these are the people that we want to meet with, and you put us there first. You put us on top, which a lot of other couples do. And the thing is, just like with anything else, just like with your house keys or anything, when you find what you're looking for, you stop looking. The average wedding has 12 to 14 different services, and every time you can check one of those off your list, it just makes your job easier. And especially if you're a venue, because that has to be first. Once you have her date, now you can tell everybody else. Should we get your date reserved now? Ask for the sale. Now, they still might say, we're not ready today. We're going to talk about following up on another episode. But ask for that sale. It is a statement. It is not a roadblock. You're the first one we've seen. Thanks so much for making us first. Somebody has to be first on the list, and we're so glad that you did it for us. Is there any reason why we shouldn't go ahead and book your wedding now? That's another way to handle it. Is there anything that you need that you're looking for that you haven't found here with us? Again, if they say no, should we get your date reserved? So those are 3 common objections. The it's too high price, the other company was lower price, and you're the first one we've seen. I hope that helps you. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Wedding Business Solutions podcast. Full transcripts of this and every episode are available on my website at alanberg.com. And if you have any questions about anything in this episode or any of the episodes, or you'd like to make a suggestion for a future topic or a guest for one of my dialogue episodes, you can email me directly at alan@weddingbusinesssolutions.com. Please subscribe to this channel, post a review if your platform allows it, and if you don't get email updates of the latest episodes, as well as upcoming workshops and masterclasses that I have, you can join at connectwithalanberg.com. I look forward to seeing you on a future episode. Thanks.